the true American horror story. Let's talk about that. Welcome everyone, my name is Alma Valentino, I'm your host. This is my channel. I'm happy you're here. I am doing this to talk about the subjects that are kind of controversial. I don't give an F if you're coming and try to cancel me, because that's what we're gonna talk about today. Specifically, censorship, the wokes, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna just throw it in. Dictatorship. My lovely Statians fellows, if you're watching from the United States, if you're not, what do you think about what's going on? Have you seen this in your country? Because I'm clearly seeing it where I live. And that's clearly the woke agenda exportation. So, yeah, I'm not gonna let that happen. I mean, at least I'm gonna complain, right? So let's do that together, right? Okay, so for the final trilogy of the American horror story, I wanted to talk about the cancel culture. First of all, I wanted to say, if you feel right away offended, or you're like, what are you talking about, dictatorship in America, then let me tell you this. You, as a country, as a population, are so privileged in your history that dictatorship is knocking at your door and you do not realize. Which is funny, because if you go to YouTube and you search like Karen's or Karen mask or something like that, you will get a whole bunch, like thousands of videos about people complaining about wearing a mask. And they will go nuts, like, oh, this is dictatorship. We live in America. America is the country of freedom. And I don't want to wear a mask. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, have you ever studied anything about any country that has suffered a dictatorship? I don't think so. Like, from what I'm hearing and seeing, I do not think so. I am not old enough to tell you, like, I went through. I didn't. My parents went through a dictatorship in my country, Chile. Okay. And I'm not saying this to lecture you, but I'm saying it specifically to lecture you. Because the stories I heard, like my parents, the concierge of my building, like people from, a range of age lived through that. University teachers that would go, like, I had a university teacher that he told us one day, I was at a bar, I was at a friend's house, I don't remember, and I went out to smoke a cigarette, and I opened the door, and I saw, right, kind of, I don't know, 200 meters away, 300 meters away, a guy that came out of his house, and a van just pulled over, the door open, someone grabbed this guy, put him in, the door closed, never saw it again. So if you want to move my heart, because I saw this the other day, like a university full of pictures of transgender people that have died, not even because of hate crime or whatever. Like, we don't know, they just died. Go and Google the Museum of the Memory in Chile, and you have like a 3-store wall full of fucking pictures of people that just disappear. Why am I telling you this? Because you weren't supposed to listen to some kind of music, read some types of books, you weren't entitled to certain opinions, you couldn't share them, you couldn't gather with people that think the same way you did. Like more, like 5 people would be like, you would have, you know, the knock knock in the door, all this kind of stuff. That sounds similar to something that's going on in, I think, the United States of America. Like, you can't talk about this, you can't read these books, you can't listen to these people, you're bigots. And to us, well, like, communists eat babies, and you are like, you want trans people to kill themselves. Do you see the parallel I'm trying to put here? The dictatorship of the woke, that's what I'm saying. Because they are not going to take a van and wait outside your house and pick you up and, you know, make you disappear. But what do? They do that in the cyber world. Because today you have the real world and the cyber world. And in the cyber world, you can reach a lot of people, thousands, millions of people that otherwise you could never talk to or share opinions with or whatever. And so what do these woke people do? They cancel you. So you cannot share your opinions with anyone. They kill you in the cyber world. That's what they're doing. And if you're like, oh, you're so dramatic, Alma, that's not what's going on. You cannot make a parallel between these two. It's so different. It is not so different. They're censoring everything. I mean, I thought your country was supposed to be about free speech, you know, freedom of, I can say and think whatever I want, and maybe that would get me in trouble, but I'm still entitled to think of it and say it. And today, you're not. And if you do, they will come and destroy your life. And if you don't believe me, look at Jordan Peterson. Look at what they're doing to him. Then they are making him disappear. They are trying, like, you have to come here and we're going to brainwash you. That's the idea. So you can now speak in the internet. And they're not only doing that, they're doing that with children. Indoctrinating children, which is what the Nazis used to do. So what the heck is going on? I am amazed that you people are like so okay with this going on in your motherland. And people who dare to talk about these things are being shut out and being chased out, censored, canceled, and let me repeat that, cancel someone. That's huge. That's, to me, that's like murder, cyber murdering. And you're gonna say like, oh, Alma, that is so dramatic. But it's not, because it's like putting you in some sort of jail. Because even if you go out, it's like you're not allowed to say that to kids. Like you're not allowed to say to your own kid that women are women and men are men. And that you put them in an institution, which is school, which should be for, you know, them. And it's not for kids anymore. It's an institution to indoctrinate to put these political ideas into little kids' minds because they know it is so easy. Because it's hard to do that with a 60, 50, 40, 30-year-old. But when you're 5 and a 30-year-old is telling you that men can be women and women can be men, it's going to take them like 15 minutes to convince you and shape your brain around that idea. And then you as a parent, you don't have the right to say anything. And they will keep information from you. Like if your kid identifies as the other gender, they're not obliged to tell you. And so the whole school is going with this, but you as a parent have no idea. And the state has more power over your kids than you do, in the way that if he wants to transition, you cannot say anything as a parent. What the heck is going on? So shout out to people who are putting themselves in the front line to battle this, because what's going on there, it is, I mean, how do I say this? You are a porous of the dictatorship of the woke. That's it. Change my mind. I mean it. Comment that below. Change my mind. Again, I did not live through the dictatorship in my country. But I had, like, Raúl Zurita, which is a poet, very, very known poet in my country. He was detained and tortured, and he kind of, a little bit after that. Because he was intellectual. He was an intellectual, and therefore he was a danger to the ideas at the time. So what are we doing with Jordan Peterson? We're shutting him out, we're canceling him, we're blocking his account, and now we're trying to send him to like, help me here because I lost my words, but if I'm not wrong, they say like, we're going to revoke your license, which he worked so hard to get. And you can tell because he's a very smart man, very eloquent and very caring, because he's not like, I don't give a fuck, and just spitting out things. He cares. And they're like, no, you cannot care about this, you cannot talk about this, you cannot write about this, and we're not gonna let people read about this dictatorship. So we're gonna cancel you, we're going to remove you from society, but we're not killers, so we're not gonna, detain and disappear. But we're going to do that in the cyber world. We're just going to eliminate everything that has to do with you. That's what they want to do. And if you think about it, that's the worst thing you can do to someone. And that's not my opinion only. Because if you go back to Egypt, they did that. They used to do that. Like, you're an embarrassment, you're shaming, and they would erase this pharaoh or whatever name from history, so no one will know that you and these ideas and what you did existed and happened. Cancel culture, dictatorship. That's what's going on. You are a porous of a dictatorship, and you don't even realize, which tells a lot about the privilege of your country, because you never went through this. So that might be why you don't recognize it. So again, how can you come and cry like, oh, we have been so oppressed, the patriarchy and this and that and oppression. You know what oppression feels like? To have to make a queue of 2 hours to get bread for your family. That's what oppression feels like. To not being able to listen to music because this man, who is the owner of truth says that you cannot do that. Having the military around, so you have to, I mean, like the concierge of my building when I was like 12, he told us, like, once I went out, and you couldn't, after I don't know what time, you couldn't go out. And he did with his friends, and he got a beer, and from the distance he saw a military jeep, and they all went like into a hole in the ground, and he was like, I pissed myself because I thought if they see me, they're gonna take me and no one will ever know about me again. I was like, what does this has anything to do with the history of the United States of America? Well, it might have now, because you don't need to do that physically to destroy someone. And go around and see what's going on to these people. I mean, medical professionals are afraid of speaking the truth. The truth. Not my truth, your truth. The truth. Because of the consequences of this woke culture. Because they're going to be canceled. Their licenses are going to be revoked. Explain to me, what else would that be if not a freaking dictatorship? Wake up, United States. Wake up. Something really, really rotten is going on in your country. Are you gonna let this happen? Are you gonna stand up? Because here's the thing. Logical and reasonable people are the majority. You're just afraid because this woke... Swallowing my slurs. These woke people are so freaking loud. But they are a minority. Are you really gonna let them rule your country and your kids? Because the damage is going to be irreversible. And let me point my finger to the trans community. Yes, you. How dare you? How dare you to let this happen? How dare you? And that's why, shout out to Buck Angel and Blair White, and I'm missing a lot of names. I'm gonna try to put them down there because they're putting themselves in the fire line to say this is so wrong. And let me put some logic into this again, because if you were to be really a trans person and you really know the struggle and the pain that I can only imagine, to wake up every day feeling alienated from your own body, which is your temple, is the flesh that allows you to live and experience the world. And you're telling me that you go through that every day, or you went through that every day. And the thought of a kid going through castration and mutilation and waking up 20 years from now to live that for the rest of its life or her life, and you're telling me you don't care? You don't care? Shame on you. Shame on you for putting politics before the well-being of a human being. Because what you're saying is, I care more I care more about the propaganda and the politics and my space and my transgenderism and whatever the fuck it is, than that kid being mutilated, castrated, and probably suicidal when he wakes up 10, 20 years from now and realizes that he fucked up. and the damage is irreversible. So yeah, shame on you. Shame on you, and bravo, and thank you. Thank you. Buck Angel, thank you. Blair White, thank you. Amala, thank you. All of you that are putting attention to this. And all the doctors. And I actually had, I watched the other day, what's her name? Judy? Let me see, because she's good. Helen Joyce. Helen Joyce. I had my notebook because I have a terrible memory. Shout outs to all of these people that are talking about this and putting a pin and saying, this is wrong. This is fucked up. Stop it now. This cannot go on. We need to do something. People, just please talk. Make yourself hear. Make yourself loud. This is just crazy. It's crazy. And that's why I'm so angry. I don't have kids. I'm not a mom. That's not an argument to say like, oh, you don't have an opinion on this, or you're not trans, you don't know. Like, I don't need to know what mutilation looks like. I mean, I don't need to know what transgender is or what you feel like to know what mutilation is. And to know that what you're doing to this kid is intrinsically wrong and rotten and disgusting. And I'm sorry to end this like in this note, but I'm just so angry. So angry. I just, I tried to keep myself updated in this, and there are so many detransitioners and just the transgender community is like, no, they're not, there's no one. No, they're not, there's no one. Shame on you. Shame on you. Gosh, so angry. You wanna come at me? Come at me. Comment down below. I'm gonna obey anything you say. And please, do the YouTube things. No, please. Check the videos. Please comment, because again, I cannot talk in an empty room. It will only echo. So let's talk about this, because if anything that I said is resonating with you, just stick around. Say something. Say something. That's all you need to do. Just say something. Love you guys. Sorry for the anger, but it's just so much. Love you anyways. Thank you for being here. I hope you stick around to see more videos, more content. I'm gonna try to cool myself down, and then we'll talk about Jordan. See you on the next one. Bye.